Welcome back everybody, or welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to be making and canning tomato sauce, and I'll have a couple tips along the way. The first tip I have for making a thick tomato sauce is I have some frozen tomatoes here, and I put it in my roaster oven about a couple hours before bedtime. I'm going to put this on around 300, and then I'll be back after the 2 hours. You need to put your lid on here and turn it on around 300. Okay, after the 2 hours, I'm going to take the lid off and leave it off. I'm going to put it on around 200 to 250, and I'm going to let this cook all night long, and a lot of that water that's in there will cook off and make a thicker sauce. Good morning everybody. This is what it looks like after it's cooked down all night. I didn't have to babysit it or nothing. So this morning, here in a little bit, I'm going to turn it off and let it cool a little bit, and then I'm going to run it through the food mill. Okay, now that it's cooled down some, we're going to run this through the Victoria food mill, and this is a job Daniel likes to do. So we're going to put the tomatoes in the hopper here, and then he's going to turn this, and it's going to squish between the filter thing there, or the screen. The sauce and juice will come out here, and the waste or the peels and seeds will come out here. We'll give them to the chickens. And another tip, once I've got a full bowl here, I'm going to strain off the juice in a mesh strainer. And that way you don't have to cook the juice coming out off, and you can get your tomato sauce done faster. Okay, this is what that batch gave me. I'm going to probably put these in the refrigerator and just continue the same thing for the next few days. I've got a lot of tomatoes in the freezer, and I'll be doing mostly tomato sauce. This is the tomato juice that come out of it, and I would have had to cook all that off and more if I hadn't used the roaster oven all night. But we'll be back whenever I go to can all the tomato sauce. Okay, this is the tomato sauce from the 2 batches I made. As you can see, it's really thick, so I'm not going to even have to cook it down. That's why I like to do it, cooking it all night long. It's hands off, and then straining it after I run it through the food mill. And I got this much juice off of it that I would have had to cook down. So I'm going to jar this up as tomato juice and have some sauce and tomato juice at the same time. I'm going to heat this up to boiling, and then we'll get it in the jars and can it up. Okay, for each jar I need 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. Needs to be bottled lemon juice. And if you want to put in salt, it's a ½ teaspoon of salt. Gonna fill it up to ½ inch head space. debubble. Wipe the rim of the jar. Put on a lid and a ring, fingertip tight, and put it in a canner. Okay, I got 7 pints. I'm gonna bring this up to a boil and process for 40 minutes. For my elevation, I'm above 1,000 feet. I think it's 35 minutes for below 1,000 feet for pints, and then I'll be back whenever I bring them out. Okay, what I mean about altitude, in this book, what I use for processing the tomatoes, there's a page back here for altitude, and it says heat processing directions in this book are stated for elevations of 0 to 1,000 feet, at which water boils at 212. When preserving elevations higher than 1,000 feet, processing needs to be adjusted to extend the food's exposure to adequate heat to destroy microorganisms. And down here it shows for 1,000 to 3,000 feet, you need to raise or add to your time 5 minutes for the recipes in this book. That's why I say it's 35 minutes for under 1,000 feet, 40 minutes for above 1,000 feet to 3,000. And that's where I'm at. You can check online your altitude. All you got to do is look up altitude for your address or zip code. And for low acid foods that you're going to be using a pressure canner for, the processing time remains the same, but the level of pressure is increased. I can at 15 pounds pressure. If you're below 1,000 feet, you can at 10 pounds pressure for my canner. I hope that makes sense. And this book here makes it a little bit easier. It's the USDA Complete Guide to Home Canning. We gave away one of these, the newer version that's out now. And you'll see our tomato sauce back here. It shows you pick your altitude. This is 0 to 1,000, 1,001 to 3,000, and on up. I'm at 1,000, over 1,000, so I can at 40 minutes for pints, and then 45 for quarts. I'm going to show you real quick for the tomato juice. I'm going to can it in quarts. So I'll need 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And I want salt in it, so it's 1 teaspoon of salt for quarts. Okay, I'm going to fill the jar up to a 1/2 inch headspace. Need a bigger ladle. Okay, that's better. Fill it up to a 1/2 inch. Not too much. Take off a little bit of that. This is all liquid, so I don't need to debubble it. Put a lid and a ring on it, fingertip tight, and put it in the canner. And I'm going to process these in the water bath when it comes to a boil for 45 minutes for my elevation or altitude. And there they are out of the canner. This white on here is where I forgot to put vinegar in the water. It'll come right off though with some vinegar. Here's the tomato juice. I got 7 quarts. And tomato sauce, 7 pints. I want to thank y'all for watching. I hope you have a blessed day and come back and see us.